In this installment, we're going to be going over the NBA bets for March 1st on Friday. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for our NBA bets slate on Friday, March 1st. But before I deep dive into that, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetsJetsD. Don't forget about that TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about that Patreon. We're going to get to that very, very soon because we are on red hot fire and you do not want to miss out. But right now, at the current YouTube homepage at 1.53 thousand subscribers, guys, if you're already subscribed, continue to like and comment. That's going to help the YouTube algorithm. If you're not subscribed and this is your first time seeing me, hit that subscribe button right now. Now, for the Patreon, this was yesterday's plays. Pacers, we had tier 2, Mavericks money line, Bulls +5, and I always put a little bit of notes here. I like the upset here if you're willing to take that risk. I like the Nuggets tier 1, and I like them to cover that -7 as well. Grizzlies +13, Lakers +4, okay? That was an absolute sweep. Let's look at the tickets that we had on that previous day. Denver Nuggets, I threw it in with a hockey play. Mavericks, Pacers, Bulls, Nuggets, 10 for 60. We had Mavericks and Nuggets, doubled that up there, +116. We had Pacers and Nuggets, doubled that up right there. We had Mavericks, Grizzlies to cover, +12.5. Bulls and Nuggets to cover that -7.5, 10 for 163. That's what I'm talking about there, over +1,000. All right. We had the Nuggets by itself. We had Chicago by itself. We had, and then we back at the top. See, we total domination of that. And guess what? We had more because we were waiting on the Lakers, but the Lakers were down the whole entire game. So you know what I did? We took them live, 10 for +450, and you had the live boost right there. Got that 50%, took that +4.5 live, and it boosted up to over +139. So complete sweep of the slate. Guys, you're missing out, man. You need to get ready for March Madness, for the NBA playoffs, plus the NBA Finals future bets. That's going to be in there as well. And we're going to get you ready for the NFL draft that's coming up, all right? Sign up for that Patreon. That link is provided down below. First game on the list, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 38-20, going up against the Detroit Pistons, who are 9-49. The line right now, if you want the Cavs, -450 on the money line, +340 on the money line for the Detroit Pistons. We have the point spread at 9.5 on both sides, and the total is at 221.5. All right. Now for the public bet percentage, bets and the money, over 90% on the money line on the Cleveland, and the point spread is pretty much down the middle, 50-50 here if the Cavs are going to cover or not. Bets and the money, 50-50 split down the middle there. The total is creeping towards the over, well over 60% on that 221.5 point total there. Some injury concerns. We're going to wait on news about Donovan Mitchell. That could be very key to this 9.5 here. Other than that, on the Detroit side, they're fine. They already lost 3 games to the Cavaliers, but each of the games are telling me a story. They're all within 10 points. Okay, you got a 8-point loss, a 9-point loss, and a 7-point loss. It seems to see here that Detroit has been playing tougher and tougher. You saw what Monty Williams complained about that previous 2 games ago. They came back and beat their previous matchup here, and now they're going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are a division matchup. So looking at ATS, we have Cavs away 14-13 against the spread, and they're 500, 19-19 as favorites. Okay, Detroit Pistons at home are 13-14 at home against the spread, and they are 28-24 as dogs. So right now, I think there's a new energy here with Detroit Pistons. We're going to keep riding this. Coming off a win in their previous game, we're going to take the plus 9.5 in this one, especially in the in-division matchup, especially versus a team that they lost to already 3 times in a row. This is the final matchup of that season series. Let's go with the plus 9.5. Next matchup, we have a Western Conference matchup going up against the Eastern Conference here. Golden State Warriors 30-27 going up and traveling to Toronto, who are 22-37. The line is pretty even down the middle here. Warriors, if you want them on the money line, minus 135. If you want the Raptors at plus 110, that point spread is at a minus 1.5 on both sides. The over-under is at a 236.5. Okay. We're going to wait on the news about the Warriors, okay? We're going to see. You got to wait and watch and see if they're going to start everybody, all right? Wiggins, obviously, he's having some issue. He's not playing. You got to make sure that Steph Curry is going to play, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Just stay towards that news. That can adjust the line, okay? Other than that, the public bets and the money, 74% of the bets on Golden State, 96% of the money on Golden State. The point spread, 80% both sides, bets and money on Golden State, and it's split down the middle on the total of that 236.5. Personal issues with Andrew Wiggins like he had before earlier in the year. He's going to have to deal with that. In the previous matchup, on January 7th, Toronto blew out the Golden State Warriors in Golden State by 15 points. So this could be a revenge spot here. Golden State going up against the Toronto Raptors. Raptors playing above their echelon right now because they coming off of 2-game winning streak. No, they had a 3-game winning streak, lost to Dallas. So they were feeling a little bit confident, feeling themselves a little bit. So we could get a more aggressive Toronto Raptor team here in the second half of the season, since they just made that trade for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, all these new guys into the lineup here. I'm going to be leaning towards the Golden State Warriors. All right. This is all due. This could change depending on who's going to start and sit. But right now, we're taking the Golden State Warriors money line. And if we're looking at a number here, I think there's going to be a lot of points. Both these teams can shoot the 3 ball very, very high. And we're going to lean towards that over at a 236.5. Let's move on to the next game. Next up, Dallas Mavericks going up against the Boston Celtics here. Dallas Mavericks are 34-25. Boston Celtics on the other side are 46-12 here. We have a pretty big spread, but things could change because most of this line is this big because we got a big Q tag on Luka Doncic, all right? If you want the Mavericks, they're at plus 350. If you want the Celtics, they are at minus 450. Point spread on both sides is at 9.5, and the over-under is at a 237.5. All right, right now we're looking at bets in the money. 92% of the bets, 89% of the money, all over Boston. Point spread, 71 and 66, all over the Dallas side. And we have the split down the middle of an over and an under, okay? As you can see, you see the injury news, Luka Doncic with his ankle and his nose. We're going to wait on news with that. Definitely tend to that and wait and see. We got the Celtics who are definitely, they're probably on more of a 5-game winning streak. I want to double check that. Let's double check that right now. Let's see. The Boston Celtics are on a... We're going to do this live. Because when the last time they lost? The heck? When was the last time they lost? Oh, I would have been right on the side there. But I skipped it. That's fine. We'll go all the way down here. Dang. Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're on a 9-game winning streak right now. Going for a 10-game winning streak here. Previous matchup in Dallas. Boston won by 9 points. And that's why you get here that 9.5. Plus, on top, you get the news about Luka Doncic's wait-and-see scenario. So, as of right now, I'm going to be leaning towards that plus 9.5. I want to grab that number now, which would be the better number to get if we get any news on Luka Doncic. That's going to change, it's going to change a lot. All right, it's probably get more around to that 6, that 7 to 6, 7 to 6 range. I would imagine if Luka Doncic is going to be in the starting lineup, that it would move down at least 2.5 points. I would say so. So best number on the board right here, best value plus 9.5. If Luka's back and you're feeling froggy, then this win streak gotta stop at some point. Dallas is playing much better. They made great acquisitions during the trade deadline with bigs. This could be a very sneaky spot here for Dallas Mavericks to get a win. All right, so I would be leaning towards those two, but definitely stay to the news and see if Luka is going to play. But we're going to take that plus 9.5. Next up, we have the Indiana Pacers, who are 34-26, going up against the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 35-25. This is a back-to-back matchup. Indiana just blew out the New Orleans Pelicans, if you want to see down here. Pelicans won by 9, and this is their second meeting here. They could obviously split in this one, and things have turned, and that's why you see the point spread. If we're going over the line, we have minus 190 on the Pelicans. If you want the Pacers, they're at plus 155. The point spread is at a 4.5 on both sides, and the over-under is at a 238.5. Okay, looking at the bets in the money, we have 77% of the bets on New Orleans, and we have 77% of the money on Indiana. That's crazy how they have that split right there. So probably more of the big money on the Pacers side, and more of the bets on the Pelican side here. Point spread, 77% on the Pacers at 4.5. And then you have the 65% of the money on that Pacers side at 4.5 as well. Over under is split down the middle at 238.5. Okay, everyone is playing the same guys that they played in that previous game. And this game total went around 237, and that's why they have that number right now at 238.5. So it's going to fall around somewhere near there. Both of these teams have high octane offenses, and Indiana cannot play defense. So that's why I would definitely look towards that over. If we're looking at that at 238.5. If I'm choosing a side here, I would say Las Vegas made this line correctly, and I would go towards and lean towards the money line of the Pelicans of that minus 190. They did not make a mistake. They totally, whatever the Pacers had last game, they gave it right to the New Orleans Pelicans. I get it. Pacers are just as good as a team. All right, these are pretty even matched teams here. I know a lot of people are hyped up on Tyrese Halliburton and Ben Mathurin, but Pelicans have big guys on their side of the ball that can definitely dominate, and especially they play better at home. If we're looking at against the spread numbers, 16-13 at home, the New Orleans Pelicans as favorites. This is the question mark here. They're 17-18 against the spread. Pacers on the road are 15-13 away, and you have Pacers as dogs are 18-12. That's the scary point here. Pacers play way better as underdogs and on the road, better than what we've seen from the Pelicans at home and as favorites. So I would stay away from this point line here. It could be a very close matchup, but I would lean towards that minus 190 of the Pelicans. Let's move on to the next game. Western Conference battle here between the Portland Trailblazers, 15-42, going against the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 20-39. If we're looking at the odds, you can get the Grizzlies at minus 145 on the money line, and the Portland Trailblazers at plus 120 on the money line. That point spread is at a 2.5 on both sides, with the total at a 209.5. Looking at the public bet and money, 81% of the bets on Memphis, 50% of the money on Memphis. Point spread, 58% of the bets on Memphis to cover, 53% of the money on Memphis to cover. And for that total over under, a lot of money on that over 209.5, 76% of the bets, 82% of the money. Very heavy on that over. Now, with these two teams here, both are horrible teams, obviously, if you're looking at their records. The key component for me here is going to be the injury report on Gigi Jackson and especially Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been the spark plug to this team since they lost John Morant for the rest of the season. Jaren Jackson has been playing good ball in these games that have been closely contested. Okay, so if we're looking at the Memphis Grizzlies in their previous matchup, they kept it pretty close against Memphis. That was mainly because of Jaren Jackson Jr., who's the guy that's going to be currently with a quad injury right now. Wait on news between those two guys. If they're both missing, that leaves me more onto that Portland side of the basketball, and I'll be taking that plus 2.5 if Jaren Jackson is out, especially. In the previous two matchups, they have split so far 1-1, and right now in that first game, that was 228 points. In the second game, that was 212 points. Right now, you are seeing that over at 209, so that's why a lot of that money's coming in on over. If you don't want to mess with either money line or point spread, I think the safest bet here is that over of 209 points. Both of those meetings have went over that price, and both of these teams cannot play defense. There should be plenty of points here. It doesn't matter if there's a whole bunch of no-name guys that you don't even know. They're still going to be scoring buckets because there's not much defense on either side of the basketball. Okay, so I would lean most confidently to that 209.5. And depending on news about Jaren Jackson Jr., we're going to be taking that plus 2.5 on the Portland side. Okay. Next up, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 39-21. This is the second game of a back-to-back. They just beat the Hornets. They blew them out by 11. And you have the Chicago Bulls, who are 28-31 here. Off some rest, off a big win. They just beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime, so that was a pretty impressive win there. You have the Bucks, who are on a four-game winning streak. They beat the Charlotte Hornets back-to-back there. We're looking at that line, 165 on the money line for the Milwaukee Bucks. If you want the Bulls, they're at plus 140. All right, point spread is a 3.5 on both sides, and the total is at a 222.5. Okay, so they respected. I like the line that they came out with. Las Vegas did. It's showing the Chicago Bulls respect. All right, and I'll show you why. So if we're looking at the bets and the money, 84% of the bets on Milwaukee, 74% of the money on Milwaukee, and then same thing, 69% of the point spread on Milwaukee, 73% of the money on that point spread of Milwaukee. All right, and now for the total, 70% of the money on the over, 70% of the bets, 80% of the money is on that over 222. We have a big Q tag. No, it's not a big Q tag. Chris Middleton's out. We're waiting on news on Alex Caruso, and everyone else has been out for pretty much a long time there. Now, the Bulls right now have been playing the Milwaukee Bucks very, very close. Okay, so first meeting they lost by 9. Chicago came back in the second meeting, beat them in overtime by 7, and then Chicago kept it super close. In OT, only lost by 4. So these two teams are battling back and forth, and this is why you see the over, because of the two games in overtime. So 233, and you had well over 260 in the second one. Those are because of all overtime games. So the only original regular time game here, that was at 227 points in the first game. That is still making you go towards the over at that 222.5. So that only seems like a solid number there that you can go towards. If you want to bump it down just a little bit, then that's definitely one you can go towards. I like the over in this game. If you want to bump it down to 215 to feel even safer, you can. Now, if we're choosing money line or point line, I would lean towards the point line of the Chicago Bulls at 3.5. They've played this Milwaukee Bucks team very closely. They are in the same division. That's why as well. So I'm loving that point spread. I'm loving the over here in this matchup. Let's move on to the next game. Last but not least, we're going to be going over the Charlotte Hornets going up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Right now, there is no line for the Washington Wizards and the LA Clippers, and there's no line for Sacramento and the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. So what I'm going to do is, once that line finally comes out, I'm going to be posting my leans toward that in the comment section down below. So if we're missing 2 games right now, but I'm going to tell you who I'm going to go towards in those particular 2 games, because we do not have any current line for that right now at the current taping, which is 10:14 at night. Usually they have all these games already with the line and everything. There might be some ins and outs with injury news. That's why these lines aren't available right now. But right now, what we're going to do is just give you Charlotte and Philadelphia right now. And later, probably sometime in the morning, I'm going to be posting with my leans towards Minnesota, Sacramento, and LA going up against the Washington Wizards. All right. So right now, we have the Charlotte Hornets, who are currently 15-44, coming off back-to-back losses to the Milwaukee Bucks. And you got the away record at 7-22. Philadelphia 76ers are 33-25, 18-13 at home. Okay. For the 76ers, they are coming off some embarrassing losses against Milwaukee Bucks and against the Boston Celtics. Okay, they are due for a big win. They have lost 4 out of the last 5 games, and as you can see, the line here is at a minus 11.5 on the side of the Philadelphia 76ers. I can imagine a lot of people are just going to go towards the Hornets because of the way the Philadelphia 76ers have struggled as of late. Okay, we have an over-under at 216.5 as well, so that's a pretty decent sized total. With the first game going under, just like 20 points there. We got both of these games going under that 216.5. Okay, or just right there is that first one, but definitely under in the second one. I'm going to be going with the Philadelphia 76ers to cover this spread. Obviously, the safest bet there is money line, but there's no advantage of that. So I would either take the first half spread or money line, or I would take the 76ers to cover the complete number at 11.5. All right, 76ers against the spread at home are 17-14. All right. As favorites, they are 24-14 as favorites, and you're getting a very weak opponent here in the Charlotte Hornets, who obviously don't have their number 1 guy in LaMelo Ball, and then you got a very hungry team here in the Philadelphia 76ers, who are trying to stay afloat for the playoffs and continue to keep a nice seeding there for Joel Embiid when he does come back. All right, so I'm loving the 76ers in this game to bounce back after their stretch of games that they have struggled, and we're going to go with that minus 11.5. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, remember, wait and see in the morning. We'll be posting up my links for those last 2 games, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right, peace out.